Welcome back, everybody. eSIM Studios Podcast Livestream, episode number 205, maybe. I'm not sure, but something like that. 205, 206. Thank you for joining me a little early today, recording a little early today. Got a lot on the plate, but I did want to get into a couple of different topics. So we have a full leak of the new Google Pixel 9a. And I also have an update on yesterday. We did a episode on buying and selling phones, right? Well, mainly buying phones, what to do, what not to do, how to verify the device you're buying is legit, right? See if is it financed? Are you buying a financed phone? Are you buying a blacklisted phone? Is it iCloud locked? Is FMI on? I have an update for you in something I did not cover yesterday that I want to get into today that could save you the full cost of a device, right? And actually, let's get into that real quick before we get into the Pixel 9a news, since I have that on my mind and I have the tab open. So when you buy a phone, I'm not going to cover everything we did yesterday. If you want to know how to properly run a full scan on the imei of the phone that you buy, go see yesterday's podcast. And we cover everything. But when you buy a phone, we mentioned Swappa on the podcast yesterday. One of the more safer platforms to buy phones on. But you can also buy on Mercari, and you can also buy on Facebook Marketplace. You can also buy on OfferUp. Now, I was interested in a couple of phones because my iPhone 16 Pro was like 3 weeks back ordered. It's like mad back ordered. So I was like, well, screw it. Let me just buy a phone and then I'll cancel my pre-order. Well, here's something we did not cover. Let's jump into it real quick and just keep this on your mind in the future, right? So let me share my screen and I'm going to show you a chat interaction between me and a seller, right? So this is what you don't want to do. Definitely don't do this. So watch. So can y'all see that? Okay. So there we are. Here is a device I was looking to buy. And now let's look at the chat. So here's an iPhone. What is this? iPhone 16 Pro Max, $750. Excuse me. Now, that's way under market value. And this is a 256 gig. It's I think brand new. It's $1,200, $1,300. They have it for sale for $750. That's a good deal, right? So I was like, well, screw it. Let me see if they're real or not. So I was like, man, I'll give you $500. Here's my chat. Here's my chat for $500. Now, in this ad, let me show you the details. In this ad, check this out. It says, I have all colors, only delivery, no pickups. First red flag. Accepting offers. Okay. But no pickup, only delivery is a red flag. That means they do not want to meet face to face. Now, look at here. They have 2 sales, 2 verified sales, and they have 5 stars. Now, I believe this is a scammer because they joined back when. If you see that they joined the current month, the soonest, if they create an account and it's always like in the month that you're in currently, that's a big red flag. If they don't have any reviews, that's a big red flag. Even if they have a review, these can be fake. Yes, there are fake reviews out here. But big red flag. So I was like, okay, well, I went into communicating with them knowing that, right? So let's jump back into the messaging. So I said, I'll offer you $500. They came back and said $550, and I was like, all right, I'll do $550. That's half the price of the phone. So I said, do you have the black color? All right. And first of all, it says Austin up here. The listing says New York City. So that's another red flag. It says we only ship. I'm like, okay, no problem. And then here's the deal breaker. Can you do Cash App? Absolutely not. Don't ever do any transaction off of the platform, because the only way you can protect your purchase is if you purchase it through the application, because they put safeguards in there for you to get your money back. If you send them Cash App, they're never going to send you the phone. right? And then there goes your money. Never do deals outside of the platform, because then that voids the protection. The application has safeguards for the buyer and the seller. Again, real quick, don't ever purchase any device outside of the platform you're using. So if they say, oh, well, just send me the money and I'll just ship it to you. No, right? If it's too good to be true, probably is. And then after I saw, they asked, can you do Cash App? And I said, well, you got the black color? This says, yes, we have it. It's 2-day delivery. I said, you ship it via OfferUp purchase, correct? With the shipping label provided by OfferUp, meaning you do ship it through OfferUp, correct? It says, I buy it here on OfferUp, correct? And they says, can you do Cash App to me again? I said, and then I replied, no, I'll only purchase on OfferUp. They provide protection for both the buyer and the seller to ensure the selling process is completed without an issue. If I send Cash App, there is no guarantee you send me the item. So that deal, that's an obvious scammer. So please be aware of these safeguards. Please be aware of these little things that you're getting into. If it's too good to be true, it normally is, and don't ever do a transaction off of the platform. And again, I had the IMEI right here in the pictures, so I went ahead and scanned it. Everything was good, but they wanted me to send the money Cash App. Not going to do it. So a little continuation from yesterday's show. Just please be aware. Even Facebook Marketplace. Now, if you're meeting in person, that's one thing, because you can verify the IMEI, and that's another thing. When you verify the IMEI, even before you meet somebody, with the websites that I gave you, and they're in the links of the description yesterday. The links are in the description from yesterday's video. I put them in there. You verify the IMEI. When you meet up with them, if you meet up in person, make sure the IMEI you scanned, the IMEI that they sent you previously that you got the report on, is the same IMEI when you meet up in person. There's been times where they send me a good IMEI, check it out, hey, everything's good to go. Yo, let's make this deal. And then I meet up with them in person, and it's a different IMEI. So they sent me a good IMEI, but they were going to give me a blacklisted phone. So just be smart about this, and you won't get scammed, right? So there's a ton of scammers. There's probably more scammers out here than real people. So just be aware of that. And if everything checks off on your list is good, then it probably is. If there's one thing that's off, don't do it. Do not do it. All right, so let's get into the Pixel 9a real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So the Pixel 9 series just released about 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, something like that. Wonderful device, absolutely love it. Now the A series, if you're not familiar with Pixels, which I'm sure most people are, but just a quick rundown, it's a watered down version, a cheaper version of what Google has to offer for the flagships. Sort of like Samsung with their FE models. The Samsung Galaxy S23 FE just released a cheaper, watered down version. And the Pixel 9a, same thing, right? Sort of like comparable to the Nothing Phone A series 2A, right? Or the iPhone SE models. It's a watered down, cheaper version of their flagship devices. Now, for whatever reason, Google releases the A series 6 months after they release their flagship series. Now, Google bumped up the release of this Pixel 9 series to August, up from October. 6 months from October would be, I think they always traditionally released the A series in, let's see, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. They always released them in May at Google I/O. So I think this year they might, I don't know if they stick to that 6 month release cycle where it's right in between the yearly cycle of the flagship 9 series. Anyways, we'll probably see the release of this Pixel 9a series maybe around May, I'm assuming. We'll see. I think May was the IO. They may still release it in May around IO, unless they move forward the IO, which I doubt they will. But let's go ahead and take a look, because there is one big difference, that this Pixel 9a, traditionally it's always followed the same design language as the Pixel 9 series, and this year it's different. So this year it's going to look different than the Pixel 9 series, right? Or the 8a or the 7a. 7a, 8a had the camera bar across the back, a little different than the flagship series, but there was still a camera bar. This year, no more camera bar. So let's go ahead. I have a video here, and just let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Y'all ready? Okay, so there we go. So there you have it, the Pixel 9a. You get, yes, I am early AF today. I have a lot on the plate today, so I figured, well, I need to knock it out right now. So sorry for, I wish I could schedule these like 24 hours in advance, like most live streams should be scheduled on YouTube, but I got so much going on, it's hard for me to schedule in advance. Like, after this is done, I could schedule the next live stream for tomorrow at, I don't know, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, but the chances of me starting at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, probably not good. So it is what it is, but thank you for joining me. And again, if you missed this, you can always catch the replay on YouTube. But any big changes this year for the 9A series? Now, minus the design, it is not confirmed what sensors they're going to put in the camera. So they've been changing stuff up. They switched from that 12 megapixel that they used forever. They had in their A series for forever, and I think they switched to a 42 megapixel sensor last year. I think they're going to carry over the same camera sensor setup. I believe they are. Now, what do we know? Look, it'll have a phenomenal camera system. It'll take phenomenal pictures. It'll take good videos, no matter what sensor they choose to put in there, right? I've given Google the benefit of the doubt when it comes to pictures, sensors, video quality, now video quality. But what will it have? Well, we do know it's going to have the Tensor G4, right? It'll have the same CPU as the Pixel 9 series. It'll have 8 gigs of RAM. They bumped that up, especially to deal with the AI. I doubt they're going to go to 12. That's too much for a quote-unquote mid-range. So it'll probably have 8 gigs of RAM. It'll probably start out at 128, but I believe they're going to have a 256 gig variant this year. It'll have 90 hertz refresh rate on the display, and I believe it'll have a decent screen. Now, wireless charging, they traditionally do not put wireless charging in their devices. I don't use wireless charging. That's not a big deal to me. I don't use wireless charging at all. I have a wireless charger here, but that's for case reviews. So it'll have Tensor G4 CPU. It'll have 8 gigs of RAM, base 128 storage, optional 256. It'll have 90 hertz display. It'll have an AMOLED display. I believe the size is going to be a 6.3 to 6.4 inch. Probably 6.3, right? Same size as the Pixel 9 Pro. It'll probably start out at $499. Probably. The A series has traditionally always been a good device. I've had a few, and the 6A was the worst one I've ever had. The 5A kind of sucked, but the 7A was a good device. The 8A is a good device, and I think they're on the right track. 6A, they put 60 hertz refresh rate, and everybody dogged them out. And then the next year, they came back with the 7A with 90 hertz display. So as long as it's got 90 hertz display, and you know what? Speaking of 90 and 60 hertz display, that's the deal breaker with the iPhone 16. I think I've seen a lot of people online go with the iPhone 16 or iPhone 16 Plus. I can't do 60 hertz display. I'm sorry, I cannot. That's a deal breaker for me. And I get why Apple puts a 60 hertz display, but that's still a quote-unquote flagship. That's not the SE. You know, I would think, because Google still puts a higher refresh rate. Is it 90 or is it 120 on the stock Pixel 9? Not the Pro, but just the regular Pixel 9. It's either 90 or 120. But why is Apple putting a 60 hertz display on a flagship phone, right? Leave the 60 hertz display for the SE, the new SE phone. Put a 90 hertz display in the iPhone 16. And then even with, have y'all seen online the testing videos for the 16 Pro and Pro Max? It's only at 80 hertz. So Apple's kind of lying to you. It's not even 120 hertz refresh rate on the Pro and the Pro Max. It's only at 80. And I think they do that to help with the battery life, but still, they're claiming it's got 120 hertz refresh rate, but it's only 80. I've seen that in multiple videos on YouTube and on Twitter. Not a good look that Apple's kind of lying to us about this refresh rate thing. But the Pixel 9a, they're going to sell a ton of them. It's a very, very big seller. Not huge in the US, but in other countries, it's Pixel's best seller. I think the Pixel 7a was actually Google's highest selling phone ever, I believe, unless the 8a beat it out. But I think from going back to the 7a, as of a year ago, the Pixel 7a was the highest selling phone Google ever sold. And that's when they introduced a 90 hertz refresh rate, 8 gigs of RAM. And actually in Japan, it had the highest market share, right? Market share was in Japan for the Pixel series and Pixel 7a series. So should be interesting to see how well this does. They'll probably put them in carriers. You can probably buy one. Obviously buy one on the Google Play Store. But if you're interested, it's a good buy. I just don't know where this fits in, because it's sort of like Samsung, where I don't really see the point of selling an FE. With Google, nothing makes sense, because they have a quote-unquote flagship that starts out at basically $700, and then their Nothing Phone 2a is like $350, right? But then you have Google with the 9 Pro XL, the 9 Pro, the 9, and then the 9A. So that's 4 devices. In the 9A and the 9 sort of get bunched up, right? And here's the deal. I personally, now I go through a lot of phones, obviously, but here's if you want to know my God's honest truth, obviously the 2A, here's an exception. Beautiful, wonderful phone, $350, the best phone you could buy for the dollar. But when it comes to other devices, Samsung, Google, there's no point in buying an A series. There's no point in buying an FE model when you can buy the used flagship version for the same price as you can buy the S20. So remember, you can buy a used, good condition S24 Plus for the same price or cheaper than you can buy a brand new S24 FE. And the S24 Plus has superior specifications. Same thing with the Pixel. Since Samsung releases the FE way after the flagship series, you can get the flagship cheaper. Same thing with Google. They're releasing the A series 6 months after they release their flagship series. So you can get a Pixel 9 Pro. I was just going through prices this weekend, looking at some used phones. You can get a Pixel 9 Pro, a used one in good condition, for $550. And when the 9A comes out, look, we're another 4 months away. So you could basically get, at that time, you can get a Pixel 9 Pro, the small Pro, probably for less than $500, and that's right around the price of where the 9A is. So again, it just, to me personally, it doesn't make sense buying one of these when you can get the flagship series at a cheaper price. Hang on one second. Now, who does this phone market to? Who does this phone appeal to? I don't think it appeals to people like me or you. Honestly, I don't think it does. So who is this phone good for? Well, to be honest with you, the Pixel A series that I've purchased have been for family members. So we got my parents a series device, right? I think, what did we get them? The 7As. We got my parents the 7As, and we got my grandparents the 7As. So Pixel A series is perfect for maybe a second phone, maybe a teenager for their first phone, maybe an older person that's not too concerned about specs and refresh rate and RAM and screen and all this. They just want a newer Pixel that will get up to 7 years of updates, right? That's all they're concerned about, keeping them safe. They're not concerned about picture quality as long as it takes decent pictures. So the A series, I believe, are good for getting somebody a good, decent phone that's not worried about specs, right? And of course, I think we got my parents through T-Mobile's and my grandparents through Google Fi or something like that, right? Where it's pretty cheap and they get a senior's discount. So that's who they're perfect for, right? Hey Hassan, appreciate you stopping by today. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so anyways, that is let me see if there's any other news. I'm gonna get out of here. I got some football stuff to record, but let's see here. Let's go to let me check the news real quick. Let's see. Pixel Buds Android 16 code name is Baklava in early alphabet testing. Let's see, any other news? I did get a new Google TV streamer. The one that's, I think they're about $100. We did buy one, should be here this week. I'm gonna test and review that. Google send us that. What else are we getting in? Let's see here. I'm gonna do some more app testing, right? I got some app reviews here coming up that I'm gonna record. What else we got? There is some. I did get a Google Play system update for my Nothing phone. So if you do have a Nothing phone, Nothing phone 2, Nothing phone 2A, 2A plus, go to settings, search for Google Play system update. I did update, they did issue that update just yesterday or 2 days ago. Forgot to mention that on yesterday's podcast. And what else do we got? That looks like it. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and record this a little early. If anything else, if any other big news pops up, I might jump on here and come live in the tech world. But as of now, we did get the Pixel 9A. I do have a full review, a full list of pictures and reviews on esimstudios.app. If you go to esimstudios.app, you can see the full pictures and projected specs for that device at esimstudios.app. And that's where you can get all your news. Again, you can catch us on any podcast platform, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio app, wherever you get your podcast, even Samsung podcasts. Simply search eSIM Studios, will pop up. And remember, if you missed any part of this, or you want to just catch your daily tech news and it's 2 a.m, jump on YouTube, search eSIM Studios, and you can hit one of our replays from earlier in that day. So appreciate the time. I got to run. It's time to record some NFL news. Peace out, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow, okay? Thank you for stopping by. I really, really, really appreciate it. Take care.